Welcome to Space and Grace, the podcast for soul-led entrepreneurs done hustling for their worth. Let's build a life and business that actually feels like freedom.
Hi, I'm Michal McCracken from Space and Grace Coaching and the Space and Grace podcast. And today I want to talk about how to grow your business by becoming ordinary. So, does your business feel confusing, like you're capable and you care and you're showing up, but the results don't match the effort and it doesn't feel reliable? And are you asking questions like, am I missing something? Am I not aligned enough? Do I need to push harder? Do I need to let go? And that questioning and that constant worrying and that constant self-checking is what's keeping your nervous system on edge. So today I want to offer you that if your business feels a little bit stuck, it's because your success still feels special. And things that register in your nervous system as special, they can't really scale. And before you argue with me, I just want to be really clear. I'm not talking about playing small. I'm not talking about doing a bad job. I'm not talking about toning yourself down. And I'm definitely not talking about being boring. But I want to encourage you to let success feel ordinary. When something in your business feels like a big deal, your body's going to treat it like one, and you're going to keep track of it and you're going to protect it. And that's normal. At the beginning, you're building confidence, you're trying to prove something to yourself. But here's where things get a little bit sticky. If every client or every sale still feels like a massive win, your system's going to handle that one at a time, like really carefully and really deliberately. And because your body is designed to keep things manageable and avoid overload, it's going to limit how much of that stuff you can experience all at once. And this is why you might say things like, it works sometimes, or I know exactly who my client is and I've got some, but I just don't have enough for it to feel stable and consistent. And what you're really saying is, my system knows how to handle this occasionally, but not automatically. Because automatic things don't require attention, right? Like, think about anything that happens regularly. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to track it. You don't have any sort of emotional reaction to it. You just expect it. But if something still creates relief or excitement or meaning every time it happens, your system's going to treat it like it needs managing, like it requires special handling because it's fragile. It doesn't register as something ordinary and stable. And so it just won't allow you to have too much. Like, it will allow a win, but it might swiftly follow it up with something that's quite stink. Like, maybe you win a lovely client, but you get a troll on socials, or maybe you make a lot of money, but you get some sort of unexpected bill. When success stops feeling like such a big deal, when it starts feeling like something that's just going to happen, then your nervous system is going to stop bracing and your business will start growing consistently. Now, this is usually where people get a little bit uncomfortable, because as soon as we talk about not bracing, not gripping, not managing everything so tightly, it can feel a little scary. It can feel like, well, if I relax or if I slow down, I'm going to lose momentum. I'm going to lose clients. Like, everything's going to fall apart. And that fear does actually make sense, but that's because we've learned that we have to be consistent and we have to maintain things in order to have momentum. So resting actually starts to feel dangerous, like silence, like going offline. But here's the thing: rest is not the same thing as disappearing. And what actually can stall a business is not resting, but withdrawing completely. So withdrawing might look like pulling back or stopping visibility or waiting or manifesting harder, but doing less. And maybe it's like trying to stay high vibe all the time, because if you don't, things are going to crumble. Whereas rest is still showing up, still being present, still being available, still taking action, just without urgency, without gripping. And we burn out when everything we do has this pressure associated with it. And it's the pressure that our nervous system is bracing against. And when our nervous system is bracing, it can't expand. It's actually just going to stay the same. So we're going to stay in this cycle of pressure and bracing and pushing and hustling. So when you hear just let it become ordinary, it doesn't mean stop showing up or stop caring. It just means stop treating every action like it has to produce something. Like take the same actions, but do it from a different vibe. Continue to speak about your work, continue to invite people in, and continue helping your clients. And then just move on with your day. Like stop scanning and checking and worrying and obsessing about whether or not things worked. And that is the shift. It's not necessarily about doing less. It's just that you're no longer carrying that weight of outcome in your body. And then your nervous system starts to learn, I don't have to grip so hard. And then when it's not gripping and you're not attaching so much meaning to everything, it just becomes ordinary. And you can talk about your work because that's what you do, but not because you're hoping that conversation converts. You can send an invitation or make an offer without emotionally following up. You can have a conversation without replaying it over and over again, wishing that you just nailed that conversation so that you got a new client. You don't need reassurance after every action. You just do your thing and then you go and live your life. Nothing changes on the outside, but internally you stop hovering. And hovering just has such a horrible, icky, heavy feeling associated with it, right? Like you're so worried about it that you're just putting so much pressure on everything. And being ordinary means that your business becomes something that you just expect to continue rather than something you watch like a hawk, just seeing if it's going to survive. And expectation is quiet. And this is why people whose businesses grow steadily, they actually look a little bit boring from the outside, right? They're not constantly reinventing. They're not frantic. They're just doing what they do without gripping it. And let's talk about gratitude for a minute, because this actually tripped me up for a while. Because we've been taught that if we want more, we should feel grateful for what we have. And in doing that, we're telling the universe what we want more of. And on the surface, that sounds right, but I'll be honest, I actually used gratitude more as a tool, like almost as a weapon. And when I first started learning about it, I really doubled down. I was like trying to manufacture the feelings. I treated it like if I could just feel this feeling hard enough, often enough, then whoever would give me something, like the universe would respond. But looking back, it was kind of like me trying to train a dog. Like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this, okay? I was trying to control it and the vibe was completely wrong. It felt really desperate and it didn't work. Because the thing was, I wasn't being grateful, I was being vigilant. I was trying to hold on to it too tight instead of letting it become ordinary and normal. And because I was holding on so tight, it became fragile. And that was the part that nobody explains. Or if they did, I wasn't really listening. And the moment gratitude starts becoming something that requires effort, something to manage and monitor so whatever you want doesn't disappear, then that's not actually ease, that's just pressure in disguise. And what actually started changing things for me wasn't managing my gratitude really closely. It was just when I started expecting that things would work. Like, oh, of course you're here. Of course that worked. Of course this fits. There was no drama. There was no effort to keep the feeling alive. It just became ordinary. And think about having a job where you just expect the paycheck to arrive, right? You do your job, paycheck arrives, no drama. You're not shocked when it shows up. And you're just like, oh, well, of course I got paid. And getting paid is nice and getting paid is ordinary. And that's the kind of stability that our system needs to allow us to grow. And we all know how to build a business through pushing and hustling, right? If you've burned out before, or once or many times, you know that pushing and hustling does actually work until it doesn't. And if you're anything like me, you tried the complete opposite. You tried just manifesting, right? Manifesting harder and then wondering why that didn't work either. And, there were plenty of times where I was like, I'm following all the steps, but clearly I'm broken. And neither pushing or wishing was the real issue. The issue was just I was from both angles, I was putting so much pressure on the outcome. And it can actually be so much more simple than that. You grow your business by not requiring so much reassurance all the time. You continue to make the effort, but loosen your grip. And then success becomes ordinary and expected, and your nervous system stops bracing. And when it stops bracing, you will be able to expand more, you'll be able to grow more. So if your business feels a little bit stuck, don't ask, what do I need to fix? Maybe ask, what am I hovering over? Now, if this talk landed, it's probably because you already know how to make money and you know how to push and you know how to hustle, but you just don't want to continue making money like that, right? You want to stop burning out and you want money to be predictable and consistent. And that's what Rewired to Rich is for. It's my private coaching program for people who can create income, but they're just so tired of doing it from stress and pressure and bracing. We work with the nervous system, and also we get into all those outdated beliefs and those rules and that programming that you've got in your subconscious mind that is actively preventing you from creating what you want, from having the business success that you want. So if your body has been whispering, I need something else, then where you're watching this, click on the link, book a call with me, and see if Rewired to Rich is your next best step.